Me and Kid went to the taverns to try and recruit some men to our band. Yeah, dude, I'm looking for like a sick-ass bassist, bro. Hello friends, welcome back to ReddX, Trace Amounts of Science. Today we're getting to some r/RPG horror stories because people said that some channel's been running dry, that we need more of these on the internet. So I've dug up some that are not safe for work as usual, and me and the Gubbinses will pass our judgment and hopefully we'll have a great time and get a little grossed out. So thanks for being here. Let's go ahead, jump on into the thing and see how it goes. A furry horror story with a twist. I mean, yeah, furry horror story. Is this Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria? Oh no! I won't blue ball you on the twist here. Yeah, don't twist my balls, OP. Rat Earth Theory. That's a wild username, dude. Why not? I've heard of Raptor Earth, but yeah, Rat Earth sounds about right. Mammals wouldn't have won without rats, I guarantee that. Anyway, OP says, I am the furry in this story. Oh, now I understand why he wants Rat Earth. Yeah, that's not great. Content warning for homophobia, references to zoo things, and general unpleasant behavior. I mean, a lot of people would call going to the zoo an unpleasant behavior, but I don't know. I can't gauge this guy quite yet. In my freshman year of college, I decided to join a game at the Tabletop Club. I joined the only game, a Pathfinder First Edition module, and I rolled up a Catfolk Rogue because I am very original. God damn. Now, to preface this next bit, I had these guys nailed as TG users from the jump, because I was pretty active on TG myself, so when they called me a fur friend, I was a bit taken by surprise, but it didn't bother me that much, so I just laughed it off and pretty much said, yeah, I guess I am. I think it does bear mentioning that TG's, I think, tabletop gaming on 4chan. You can go on a message board and roll dice. OP says, it was a big mistake to admit this. It started off as them asking if I wanted to roll to seduce every male NPC I would talk to, like every single time. I'm not particularly shy about being gay myself, but I usually keep any romance or intimacy stuff away from the game, so all of this just left a bad taste in my mouth, only compounded by them continuing to throw around the word fur friend, referring to me. Except they didn't say friend. They used a different F slur. Again, I was pretty online at that point, so I could soldier on and not take it too personally. A lot of what people say about furries, even on this sub now, makes this shit look like the kiddie pool. I suppose that's true. You haven't been told to yiff in hell even once yet, so... Then things got much worse. They started doing their whole roll to seduce bit on animals, too. Just quit the game. This is unplayable. You know what it is. Well, like, why even finish the session? I guess so he doesn't give him the satisfaction. He's like, okay, fine. I'll sit here and endure this shit for 3 hours. It's not worth it to me. Congratulations, you won. I don't want to be here anymore. Goodbye. Anyway, yeah, anytime there might be an animal in any given scene, there would be jokes about my character trying to go to town on it. This was too much, even for someone as conflict-averse as freshman me, and I told them to knock it off. The GM said, why? That's the crap that fur people like. You should have rolled a normal race. I backed down, they laughed, and I excused myself from the table. Really, this is all just about, like, cat folk and OP. I guess it's sunk in too deep, because he's like, actually, I do think Catgirls are a good idea. Let me tell you, OP, they're not, okay? You cannot keep them around. You know how many coffee cups we've broken? This is the fucking 5th one this week. Tried to euthanize them, the government steps in, they're like, oh, they're sentient, human, half-human creatures. Yeah. We've done the research, trace amounts of science, please don't. Like, it's not the strangest proclivity ever, but Yeah, I don't know. I think OP really should have just rolled with the punch, you know? You need to be like grin maxing and fucking just always have a smirk on your face, you know? Why are you taking this shit so serious? Maybe throw a few punches back their way, you know? It could have worked out well, but yeah. If it wasn't the vibe, then that's fine too. Probably not a group of people you want to hang out with anyway. Birds of a feather might afflict you at some point. I said something to one of the club officers or school administrator, but again, freshman year and my judgment wasn't the best. It put me off from playing tabletop RPGs outside of explicitly queer, usually ironically furry groups for years, and even then a lot of them only played 5th edition, which I burnt out on. I mean, you got to play, which is good. I eventually started going back to the club when I knew that whole clique had graduated, and it ended up being great for those last couple of years. And it taught me that if a table sucks, you can just walk away. So it ended up being a wash in the end. Yeah, you're sitting there in the moment like, how can I possibly disengage? It would be rude to stand up and just fucking walk out the door, but you can do exactly that. Like, life is full of choices. I am glad that you made the right decision, though, OP, and didn't have to sit there and endure this shit for 3 hours. So yeah, TLDR was a furry playing an anthro race who got called slurs, had digs made at my sexuality, and was the target of weird zoo things. Yeah, not great. I don't like much of that at all. An unfortunate experience. And the wildest part to me, it's like, it's not based on anything OP told them, I presume, or they're just digging in because you rolled a cat person. All this is a bit too strange for me, like, immediately off the bat. I definitely feel sympathy for OP, but yeah, you didn't have to bar yourself from the club until those guys left. But I guess, yeah, conflict-averse is something OP described himself as, so how can I blame him? You know that, you don't want to fight, that's fine. I'd like to see what the Gubbinses feel about this one.
They force their fantasies onto the stranger because they are suffocating in their own perversion. Witnesses. They use the slur as a shield to protect their own degenerate obsession with beast of burden. They are not mocking him. They are confessing. Dark Gubbins.
Fucking heavy, dude. Can we lighten the mood a bit, Gubbins? Please go.
The nasty boys keep talking about fiddly-diddlying animals because their brains are full of sick, sticky thoughts. They scream slurs to hide that they are the ones who want to sniff the dog's butt. They are just leaking projection from their lung sac. Gubbins.
Sniff of the dogs. I guess it's funny. The part I found the funniest was Gubbins almost turning into fucking Ned Flanders. Was it fiddly diddling the animals? You know what? I give you the point. I give you the point because of that. Yippee! You're very welcome. You truly deserve it this day. Dark Gubbins terrifies me because he looks in at the soul and knows how to tear it apart. And I mean, basically any AI could probably do that with anything you show them. Just completely lay your whole shit bare. And that's terrifying, isn't it? We'll have to rework the logic a little. Make Gubbins a little bit meaner. Or more fucking grounded. Whatever. Anyway, yeah. Super gross story. Although, not for the reasons anybody thought. We'll move into another one and see how it goes, I guess. Oh, it's not going well. This story, titled Fellow DM Asks for Advice on What to Name His Army, and he ends up talking about how all of his orcs are grapists. Well, they're orcs, but we don't need to talk about that specifically, probably. So, OP says, I'm part of a local RPG Facebook group that coordinates games and helps new players, etc. Most of the active voices in the group chat have been fellow DMs, and sometimes we talk about world building. Now, this one DM, who we will call Orc DM, was asking us to help name an army to be affiliated with a demigoddess character that he had made. He went into detail surrounding the character's lore and the flavor of the army. Honestly, it was kind of an incoherent mess. And he said he wanted the army name to be good because Warhammer has the Ultramarines, which are iconic, and I want to be iconic too. Yeah, Ultramarines versus Super Orcs, go. Like, who cares? What's in a name, really? A few other DMs and I started tossing some ideas around, but then Orc DM didn't seem to acknowledge any suggestions. And then suddenly, without warning, he started to go into detail on how in his settings, all the orcs are hermaphrodites called orcs, but like with an X. They regularly raid human settlements for the sole purpose of graping all the dudes, because non-cod is the only way to fertilize their eggs. After which, they eat their victims. Oh my god, dude. What are... yeah, that's original. It is original. I hate everything that you've said just now, though. I don't want to have this conversation any further. All the women and kids would be forced into slavery and made to serve the orcs in a crude fashion. Whatever the hell that's supposed to mean. I don't know, OP. It's ominous, though, given all we know. Yeah, we don't need to go any further, honestly. But we will. So the other DMs start suggesting different ways to make orcs interesting that don't involve, horrific acts of assault. But instead of replying or acknowledging anything that anyone says, he just sends us an entire short story from his setting. He typed the whole thing out on Messenger. I'm sure he pasted it, didn't he? The story didn't even make any sense. At that point, people just kind of stopped chatting. This is why every group chat you're in is just so quiet. However, he does show up again whenever the group chat is talking about world building, but he always ends up making it about his weird setting and kills the chat. Here's the full short story, if anyone wants to read it. Oh, God. Do I dare? Truly? Who would dare to click something like that? That's a terrible idea. Surely we're all going to be scarred for life if I click. I'm clicking it. Upon closer inspection of the story, there's no way I'm gonna stop and read all that shit. I don't have the time for whatever the hell it is that you're trying to talk about. Everybody responded with just a thumbs up. They didn't read it either. And I think that's good. I think that's how life is supposed to be. That's how it's going to be for you for a long time. Because you don't know how to let other people in, Like, engage with their shit a little bit. So maybe they want to engage with your shit. Speaking of engaging with my shit, check out Patreon, YouTube memberships. I'd appreciate that so much. I appreciate your support. We'll find another post that isn't so droll. Thanks for coming along on the ride. Oh, shit, I almost forgot about the gubbins. Okay, I gotta get a bit here. What'd you think about it, boy?
He dreams of orcs putting eggs in men because nobody wants his own wiggly seeds. He types his gross rape stories with sticky fingers and thinks it is art. He is a dirty little slime mold with no soul in sight. Gubbins.
He is about the worst thing that I've ever seen. I'm mortified. I'm surprised that it was so wordy, what he said. I'm glad we didn't stop to read it, at least not yet. Maybe it'll be a complete disappointment. I don't know. You know who never disappoints us recently? Dark Gubbins. So, let's see what you thought.
He mistakes his unlitigated sexual pathologies for law, witnesses. He holds the group chat hostage to masturbate his ego because he lacks the power to command respect in reality. He is not a dungeon master. He is a future inmate. Dark Gubbins.
Dude, future inmate. Dark Gubbins always goes so hard. Is it the voice? Is he really just chopping people down to size? I thought Gubbins was funny with like wiggly seeds and stuff, but I don't know, man. Looking into the soul is quite a thing. We're gonna give it to Dark Ovens. Oh my goodness. But that's okay, we've got another story to go, so we will get over there right now. I totally found it and know what it is already, and you'll find out right now too. First tabletop RPG game, first horror story of a DM trying to force me into a setting I don't like, and general hoardy weirdness. Weirdness is the part that hooked me in. Like, horny I've seen before. It's boring, you know? Okay, you're drooling all over yourself. But the weirdness part is what piques my interest. I'm like, okay, I want to see. So we'll see together. Let's take a look under the rock. Disclaimer, English isn't my first language, so there might be major grammar errors. TLDR, DM tricks me to play on a setting that I don't really enjoy, even though I already told him multiple times before I don't like it. And he fulfills necro fantasies for a horny weirdo. Okay, good. Necro things. We're just running the whole gamut today, aren't we? Oh, what a gauntlet. Anyway, the characters from this story are DM, friend that's really into tabletop RPGs and D&D and stuff. It's a great character description, honestly. Fucking peak cinema. I couldn't have gleaned any of that from, like, the name of the Dungeon Master and the setting where the story's taking place in fucking RPG horror stories. Maybe I'm just being an asshole. Maybe I just feel like I need to sink my teeth into something because it's been too long. We also have OP, who is a swordsman historical guy that likes history and medieval settings, but not a big fan of high fantasy. Like, see, that's almost a description. That gives me some new information. I probably could have guessed at it, and truly I don't give a shit about it either way, but thank you for new information. Piggy is an engineer, 250 kilo, massive, obese guy. Really annoying at times, but somewhat okay. Okay, great. You're really giving me a feel for these characters. What should his voice be? I don't know, just make him sound like a somewhat okay guy. Okay, it's just, it's my voice. I'm somewhat okay sometimes, I don't know. Fuck it. You like it or you don't. There's also Kid, Hunter, the youngest of us, a bit annoying at times, but he was also okay. Okay. That's great. There's also Gregory. Oh, he's House, dude. Doctor, not his real name. He was that annoying, horny dude. Oh, it's not Dr. House. And he tried to interact with literally all female characters. A really disgusting human being, if I'm being honest. Like, in-game, to characters, he's probably just doing it to everybody. Everybody! First chapter, The Beginning. I never played any tabletop in my life before. I played some electronic RPGs and strategy games. My true love is for historical, authentic games. I'll remind you again that I really don't care. I was friend of DM for a few years already, since high school, and we played some games together. Probably could have included that in the character description. One day, I discovered tabletop RPGs and found the idea of a game with friends where only the imagination is the limit pretty cool. Honestly, yeah, that's why tabletop is pretty lit sometimes. DM tells me that he's been playing D&D with others for years and he could invite me to the table. I ask him, well, what's the world history and setting? He tells me it's like a high fantasy world with many races and magic, but you should totally give it a chance, even if you don't like it. How could you not like it? What are you, dumb? Like, you can cast a fireball. Like, do you not want to do that? Do you not want to imagine yourself or your character doing that? But I guess I also understand being a purist. I don't know. Battle Brothers is like a good low fantasy RPG game, like strategy that I enjoy. And I guess it is like, you know, more blood and grit feel, because you basically have two seas of axes wading into each other. You cannot magic missile your opponent from around the corner. You have to walk over and chop him into pieces. It's like, okay. Well, yeah, it's definitely a different vibe. A vibe that OP likes. So OP tells the DM, nah, bro. Sorry, I know I'm not really going to enjoy that as much. And I'll probably just make your table be all the worse for it. He says, okay, fine, but you'll be missing out on some fun. A few months passed after this conversation. I mean, did you find another group to run with, or you just don't like the idea anymore? During this time, after he learned I discovered tabletop RPGs, he kept trying to invite me to his games and one-shots, and I always refused because I didn't really like the settings. Yeah, I want to just stumble into the perfect tabletop game. One that meets all of my criterion. Well, why don't you just run a tabletop game then? Did you consider that? Then you can make it whatever you want. But no, hand deliver it to me on a platter. I'm sure I'll stumble into it one day. Why don't you just get some fucking experience under your belt? I don't know if I like the cut of this OP's jib. Anyway, one day, DM comes back around and says, hey, I made this low fantasy, realistic medieval setting with just a few mythical creatures, and the other races will be pretty much just humans with a few orc and goblin factions and maybe some undead, but they would be servants of necromancers or mindless zombies and skellies in forgotten places. And I said, fine, but those are pretty rare, right? He said, yeah. Don't worry, these more fantasy things will mostly be for like flavor or challenge encounters. Again, all of what you just described only reminds me of Battle Brothers. It's like the best low fantasy game. Buy it and buy all of the DLC, and then go over to my Steam page. Waifu Pilled is our Steam game that we're working on. And you can wishlist that one too. If you're the match 3 visual novel waifu games. I don't know. I'm not here to yuck your yum, alright? This is the format I thought the most amount of people would be receptive to. Like, oh, I understand the appeal of that. And if you don't, that's okay, but I'm still gonna ask you to wishlist it anyway. Anyway, yeah, OP just being a stuck-up, stupid dick about everything. Who cares? Like, the DM made this setting specifically for you, clearly. It's been years, he really wants to have you in there as a player, but OP's just like, you have to chase me. Chase me more! Anyway, DM on the same day gave me the character sheet and helped me with creating a character. I made a swordsman with a mercenary backstory. Oh, daring today, aren't we? I'm gonna play a spearman who was an orphan. His backstory's the most tragic. Everybody sit and listen. He lived his entire life pretty much following a war band and doing small tasks like cleaning weapons or armor and generally helping around the camp. And as he grew up in this environment, he was occasionally trained by the older mercenaries until one day his war band got destroyed by orcs, with only a few mercenaries escaping. I hope the orcs that destroyed the caravan weren't the orcs we were talking about earlier. The orcs with the X. That's a different type of... I don't like that type of orcs. Anyway, character survived until then doing petty protection jobs like caravan guarding or being muscle for hire in town. Do I need your character's backstory? No other character is going to have a backstory as detailed as fucking OP's character. I guarantee that. Kid made a hunter with a poor villager origin story. He learned to fire with a bow and crossbow from his father, and he generally was good with scouting and traveling until one day his father was killed by a nobleman to punish the village for poaching on his land, and he had to run away from where he was also and find work elsewhere. If I was that kid with that backstory, my hunter would be hunting that nobleman. That's my life's quest. Piggy was the equivalent of a mage, and he made an engineer. His backstory was his father was a middle-class owner of a workshop, and he learned the trade from him so he could make small bombs and gadgets that would apply debuffs. He had one day decided that he had enough of the boring town life and would go on adventures. Greg was a traveling doctor. He had a weird backstory of having to escape from his town after being accused of doing... you know, with a corpse. What the fuck? Why? I just don't think a character with that being one of their central tenets is going to be a good fit. You know? It's not going to turn out well. If it ever pops up in the storyline, it's not going to be, like, fun or cool. Everybody's just going to be like, gross, weird, ew. What the fuck? Yeah, we certainly dragging the depths today. Honestly, if I was the DM, I wouldn't have accepted this backstory, but, well, now I see why he didn't. Oh, the DM's creepy too? They're all plotting on you to make you dead and do stuff with your giblets? Chapter 2, The First Games. Honestly, the first few games were kind of fun. We started our first game after all our characters got a letter from a local village elder hiring people for a security job. We all met at the village center and did a bit of RP, got to know our characters a bit, and then the elder appeared and called everyone to his house. And it was the biggest house right in the middle of town. Inside the elder's home, there was an NPC that was the leader of a mercenary group, and he said they were hunting for a bandit group, but they got a few of his boys, and they wanted to hire a few more hands as reinforcements. He was actually the one who wanted to send the letter, but asked the elder to do it because he had those connections. I find it odd that he would mention that at all. Who cares who fucking sent the letter? I showed up, didn't I? Anyway, we agreed to help for a fair pay. He tells us to prepare, and we would journey at morning. We buy some supplies and tools from a veteran soldier shopkeeper named Alan that lost his family, and then we all go to rest. Yeah, it's good that we heard all about Alan's dead family before we went to sleep. I'm sure their hands aren't going to come up and grab me from under the bed. That was the screwdriver and wrench set his children used to play with. You bought it, you're taking it on this journey. And to that I say, shout out Alan. This screwdriver wrench set with your children's souls inside of it. That makes for, like, extra strong tools. They will last 1,000 years. So what if they haunt me in my sleep sometime? Anyway, on to the next in-game day where a mercenary captain was on horse and told us to follow him on foot. He was just on top of the horse, not going at full speed. Yeah, did you know that you can change the speed of a horse? It's like a gear shift or something like that. I think you gotta stick a carrot and shift it around. It's also not a great joke considering the preceding story. Whatever. We follow him until we find one of his dead scouts. The DM rolls a dice and we see an arrow fly and hit close to us, but it misses. And then 3 bandits appear and ambush us. We roll our initiatives and do a quick fight. We get a few bruises, but we win the fight pretty easily since the mercenary captain was a few levels stronger. And we continue to go further into the woods, finding more and more dead mercenaries, and with 1 or 2 fights here or there. This continues until we reach the end, where we meet a wounded female mercenary. Greg immediately runs and tells her, "He removes her armor." And we say, "Dude, what the fuck?" And he says, "What? I'm checking her wounds." A bit weird, but not 100% sus at the time. I mean, it's fucking 90% sus. I guess it is a fictional character, like, you could let it slide, maybe. Do your characters know about the reason that he was ejected from his town? His interest in the dead? It doesn't seem like something you bring up in, like, normal conversation, you know? So maybe the characters are none the wiser, too. I'm really dissecting this too far. Anyway, he did a few rolls and healed her without using his items. We asked a few questions and what happened to the others, and she tells us that it wasn't the bandits that got them, but something else. Wow, how non-specific. We looted the bandits for valuables and went with her back to the village, and that was where session 1 ended. Honestly, it was kind of fun. The only annoying thing was on this one, Piggy was eating most of the lunch. Yeah, Piggy loves snacks, dude. Like, you gotta be careful. Does he bring any snacks, or does he just come and consume? Feed at the chip trough, piggy. Session 2 begins at a village with us asking her questions about what happened, and she says they were attacked way before, at night, by a creature with a foul smell. And its face appeared leathery with strings holding pieces together, and she managed to run and hide until dawn. She told us the bandits only arrived after the sun was risen, and they were waiting to ambush any search parties. Hell yeah, dude, that sounds like zombies. Session 2 and we're gonna kill some fucking zombies? Alright, boys. It's difficult. These are the difficult zombies, too. The necromancer zombies that, like, resurrect after a set amount of time. We gotta coordinate this shit. Anyway, she told us that she had to remain hiding since she was alone and wounded, so she couldn't fight. And we say, well, the bandits are dealt with, and now we'd like to be paid. No shit. The mercenary captain seemed a bit annoyed at first, but he agreed to pay. However, he asked if we wanted a new contract to investigate this leathery creature with him. We agreed to go with him on another mission and followed him back into the woods. When we got back there, none of the corpses were there anymore, and the DM asked us to do a few rolls to investigate. Kid, being the best tracker, immediately finds some clues and a trail that we could follow. So we follow it for a while, and it reaches to a cave. Inside, there were signals of somebody living there, and a really foul smell of rotting meat and leather. So we take our weapons out and prepare for any threat, follow the trail of blood and bones, and go deeper into the cave. And there's an abandoned mine shaft with an old staircase that goes even deeper down. So we keep on going until we reach a big room, and the leather man was in the middle doing some kind of ritual with a bunch of bodies. We notice there is a hooded one with a ruby golden necklace, and he screams to the leather man, "You dumb fool! You left tracks that led them right to our hideout. You knew I was not at my full strength and wanted me ended. Your betrayal shall not go unpunished." The leather man then removed his mask, revealing himself to be Alan. Oh my god! He's the one who infused his children's souls into this screwdriver and wrench set. He's been a bad guy this whole time. My god, the clues were right there. They weren't. Yeah, how would you know? We just felt bad for Alan. Although I guess that sort of makes it a good twist, but yeah, you'd need to drop more breadcrumbs. I don't know how many breadcrumbs were actually dropped. Anyway, turns out Alan made a pact with the necromancer to give him core poses, and he promised to bring his family back to life. Being a common man, he wouldn't know that that's not exactly how it works, and he would later betray him, leaving traces so someone could stop him before it's too late. The weakened necromancer would use his remaining power to resurrect the bodies he brought, and a few old skeletons in the mine shaft. Even in his weakened state, the battle proved to be too much for our small band, but Alan gave his life holding back the undead so we could escape back to the village, and this was where Session 2 ended. And also another really fun session, but I thought the boss fight was a bit unfair, at least at our current state in the game, to be honest. I mean, I really expected that to go a different way. I really expected the weird guy to do some weird guy shit, but I'm glad that he hasn't. It was a good combat. I'm glad we got to enjoy some combat. Although I probably wouldn't have fled. We fight to the death, alright? I'm not fucking around here. Session 3 begins with us bringing the grim news to the village. Mercenary captain gave each of us a task to train the villages and form a small militia to defend the village from the undead. Piggy would be building barricades and traps. Kid would take some of the villager hunters and fishermen and make ranged units. I would take some of the farmers to make spear units. And Greg went to talk to the nurses and women. We said, dude, what are you doing? We need to prepare to fight. And Greg said, guys, we will need the hospital ready for the wounded. Ugh, fine, Greg. Yeah, just get him out of here. He's those fictional nurses' problem now. Anyway, since we expected to fight some big battles in this campaign, there were also wargame rules for those. And this would be the first, as the necromancer and his undead band arrived at a village and we took our little militia to its position. He would immediately loose some of his minions to Piggy's traps, and Piggy would be laughing, "Ha, we got you, smelly boy." After a few turns, we defeated the undead band, and the necromancer fled. We ran after him and captured him. We did a small celebration back in the village, and Greg got the necklace. I later learned that Cap was actually one of the members of my character's war band. Who the fuck is Cap? The guy you captured? The necromancer? The necromancer was in your war band. Fucking neat. Awesome, dude. What an alignment of the stars. What a series of events. Kid and Piggy would drink, and Greg would go after the women to enjoy. It's a weird way to phrase it, too. On the next in-game day, Cap would invite us to his mercenary war band, and I accepted since he was the closest thing I had to a family left, and the others wanted adventure and fortune. That would be session 3. Yeah, totally neat. Is something weird gonna happen at some point? I guess we're still dealing with the undead. Here it is. Chapter 3, Downfall. Yeah, try not to fall down, you guys. Be really careful with that. Last step's a doozy. Session 4 would be after a small time skip. We all chose a few different rewards based around what our characters did. I said that I wanted better armor and gear, and a promotion to officer in the mercenary band. Kid said he wanted better stats, and a bow after training and hunting all this time. Piggy said he wanted the ability to make gunpowder traps and weapons, and Greg said that he tried to learn necromancy from the ruby necklace that he got. Oh no. Oh no. I said, wait, how would you learn that if it's a taboo thing, banned everywhere, and it's not really a thing anyone would teach you? He said, he learned it from goblins. I said, but how? All goblins are aggressive towards humans, so that's not even possible. And he said, I should stop trying to force him to play a different way. And an entire race of beings being enemies is an offensive thing to say. Are you gonna trust a goblin? Are you gonna bring a goblin into your fucking house? I'm sure there are good goblins out there, you know, but they're not sending their best. OP says, well, no, it's not offensive. It just doesn't really make sense in this world setting. And DM cut me short, and he said, yeah, but if there were human necromancers, then, like, he should be allowed to be one if he wants. And besides, it makes sense for his backstory. Yes, all of this coincides. And I don't think I'm having fun anymore. This is the point where I just stand up and turn around and walk away forever. Not even explain. I know where this is going. I don't want to finish out the road. I don't need to see the end. I do, though, kind of. Like a fucking train wreck in slow motion. OP says, honestly, I should have just left right there after hearing such a disgusting thing, knowing Greg and his backstory. But I said, yeah, fine. I just hope it doesn't turn out like some high fantasy crap and his character gets super OP because of that. I know it's a bit rude, but I was a little bit pissed. That's your biggest concern here? Okay, yeah, totally. He could totally raise zombies and do whatever he wants to them, as long as we don't have too many zombies, and it turns into like a high fantasy, I don't know, group activity. Zomborgy. Oh God! Why do you take me in these weird directions? Now that's in my head. I blame you for all of it, OP. Anyway, Kid tries to lighten the mood and reminds us of the game ahead. We asked them to begin what's going to be the mission to Cap, and he said we were hired by a lord to hunt down an orc camp and bring their boss's head back. So we do a bit of trading in the mercenary camp and choose a few soldiers to help us on the task. I picked 2 heavy infantry guys. Kid picks 1 guy to help him scout. Piggy chose another engineer so they could operate as support artillery. And Greg said, he doesn't need anyone, and he would go alone. Yeah, he's a lone wolf, guys. I'm totally gonna win at this team-based RPG strategy game. Anyway, we then proceed to go to the camp. Kid and his scout spot 3 orcs. We roll for initiative, but it wasn't that big of a deal, since Kid and his scout got good rolls and immediately killed 2 of the orcs. This led to the last one attempting to flee. We followed him to the camp and, well, a fight started. I set me and my boys to hold the line, while Kid and Piggy would give us support. Greg just sat back doing nothing, and when confronted, he said he was investigating the orc body. Now, we start fighting orcs, and since they have better strength stats, they start to overwhelm the line, but Piggy managed to hit the orcs with one of his new firebombs, killing them and making the others flee. Do I have to save you every time? I said, what do you mean? I was holding the line. You guys are the ones who do most damage. Piggy, you're kinda useless, TBH. We all do damage, then what do you do? Argue with Greg about his magic choice? Greg, yeah dude, if you're gonna argue, at least start helping. Kid, come on guys, he just got bad rolls. Besides, the orcs are too strong for a normal human. I say, yeah, they gave you time to prepare your bomb, Piggy. Ugh, fine, Piggy says. Oh dude, this is really high stakes shit that's going on right now. Do you want to shit talk or do you want to pull together and win a fucking fight? This is, yeah, a very bad sign of things to come for the table. If the necromancy part wasn't enough, it's a selfish group, it's gonna fall apart. The only one that I would want to play with is Kid. He's got a chipper attitude. He's a fixer, that Kid. Even OP, like, you sort of get the vibe he likes to smell his own farts, but I ain't been giving it to him too hard. Anyway, DM says, an orc shaman appears and casts a sleeping and thunder spell. How am I supposed to sleep through all this fucking thunder? I say, what? Since when can they know spells? And why didn't they immediately cast when they appeared? And DM says, oh my god, are you gonna complain every time a magic creature appears? Besides, I stated that there was some magic in the world. And OP said, yeah, but it was also written in lore that magic is done by a ritual and pact with demonic beings of this world. And you also said that the orcs have their own religion that isn't connected to the human holy and demonic creatures. So wouldn't that make it be invalid? Well, there's some rules, lore, and fucking nerd fight type of shit. I can't do it anymore. Okay? I've only got one life and I can't spend it here. Why was this marked as not safe for work? Oh yeah, there's a thing that a terrible thing. And that terrible thing is this entire fucking story. It didn't need to happen at all. Yes, that guy was weird, but guess what? You got a little bit of weird shit going on yourself. Maybe we shouldn't be so quick to throw stones when we live in glass houses, right? Whatever. DM says, fine. If you just don't want to fight them, tell me. And I say, no need to be like that, bro. I'm not angry. I just thought it doesn't make sense in world lore. DM says, yeah, but it's my world, and now I want that. I do get that vibe. There's something to be said for consistency too, though. You gotta strike a balance. OP gives in and says, fine, but please don't overdo the magic things. After all, we agreed from the beginning, this is a low fantasy world. And we did the orc shaman fight, and my character was a bit weak against them, since I didn't really have protection against unholy, which is what most of the arcane damage was. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about right there, but I'm gonna say cool story, bro. Neat. Does anything interesting happen? You are just gonna sit here and complain, aren't you? That DM fucking nailed it down so hard that you couldn't handle it, that you fucking took to Reddit and you're like, I'm gonna show them. And yeah, you did show them. You showed them and everybody else that they were absolutely correct. You can't stop complaining and just fucking enjoy the thing that you purport to enjoy for just a moment. Is that really so goddamn hard for you? Why must it be this certain way? Why do you demand control over the thing? Is there something going on in your personal life? Lay down on the couch and tell me about your relationship with your mother. Anyway, The team carried my unconscious body back to camp after the battle was over. Piggy and Greg kept saying I only know how to complain, and session 4 ended in the camp. Honestly, it was kind of bad, but not the last nail in the coffin yet. You showed up again after all that? Getting openly shit-talked and everything? You rocked the boat too much, man. Try with another friend group, okay? Session 5 begins with us traveling to a major town and trying to find a new contract for our mercenary band. Oh, dude, what kind of music to play? Sweet band. It's a stupid joke. I'm running out of gas. We're running on fumes now. Piggy went to visit the local workshop since it was his hometown, and Greg kept his head low from authority. Me and Kid went to the taverns to try and recruit some men to our band. Yeah, dude, I'm looking for like a sick-ass bassist, bro. The joke is even stupider the second time. There were 2 types of recruitments, hero and manpower, which was basically named characters for adventures and officers, and manpower was for no-name units in the war game mode, which could become named characters if they did something special during the fight. After a bit of talking and looking for, we found a contract from some old guy to fight an unholy creature that he didn't know which in his farm. Yeah, there's some fucking unholy thing in there. You guys gotta go get it out. Ghostbusters! And yeah, this is not a job for a swordsman. Summon the ghoul smiters. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Ghoul smiters! Da-da-da-da-da-da. Is that Ninja Turtles? God, I am fucking losing it. Alright, we fucking game face. Let's go. OP says, I was honestly going to complain a bit, but these creatures existed in world lore, and I didn't want to start another argument. Yeah, probably first fucking smart thing you did. He also hired a holy traveling man to help in the fight. Since it was a small fight, we didn't bring anyone from the band. After we arrived, we did some investigating and discovered the unholy monster was a succubi. She did an attack that stunned us all. I knew it was bullshit at the time, but didn't complain again to avoid argument. Later I learned why this BS happened though. The DM would go into great detail about the sensual poses the succubus made, and Greg was fixated. DM asked only Greg to make a roll to escape from the stun because he had the unholy ruby amulet, and he easily passed, and then he went into great detail about how he maltreated the creature in front of us. I don't think he's fighting that thing. It might be Greco-Roman wrestling, but not any branch I've ever heard of. I got up and took my things and left the table. Fucking finally. I said that was just disgusting and weird. Piggy and Greg said, yeah, that's realistic for the time, so you just want realism when it helps you? And I said, no, but that act is disgusting and I'm feeling really uncomfortable. You're explaining yourself too much. Stand up, turn around, walk out the door. Don't say a fucking word. They'll be like, is he coming back? Maybe he didn't say anything. Yeah, then I still hold the power. You don't know what the fuck to think. You'll make up a thing that you think, but it won't be the correct thing. You'll be mystified forever. Anyway, DM says, yeah, guys, I think we went a little overboard. Maybe we should just take a small break and pretend this part didn't happen. He is my friend, and he knows some secrets about my past, and he should know that these topics hurt me. There's like multiple levels of grossness at play here. Why would they do these things? Did they just get carried away? Oh yeah, that's just an excuse, isn't it? I'm gonna save myself the paperwork and just execute him. And honestly, I'm at the point where I'm also for executing anybody who says that I shouldn't do it. Opie says, I just want to go home. Let me be alone for a while. DM later texted saying, sorry dude, I didn't mean it. And I said, whatever. I'm just surprised you'd add such things in your campaign after with me knowing what happened. He said, yeah, I promise I'll make it up for it in the next game. Just don't drop us, please. And I said, fine, just please No more of that BS. So that's exactly what's going to happen again in the next section, isn't it? It's session 6, the final session that I played. And honestly, I don't remember that much because I was done and pissed after that. It began before we met the monster, and this time he changed it to a generic demon or whatever, and we quickly defeated it. But we were also pretty hurt after the fight. And as we went back to town, we got jumped by guards who recognized Greg's unholy amulet. They ordered him to give it to them since they thought it was an illegal item, and he said, "No way, it's my amulet." I thought, no need to take his item away, and we agreed to fight our way out. We knocked out 2 guards, but couldn't defeat all of them, and then the bringer of doom arrived. A fucking mage, out of nowhere, appeared and immediately killed the guards with some bullshit power of blood bending or whatever. Dude. We're bringing like airbender stuff into it. He's the Avatar. Oh my god. It's not really magic because in the lore of this world, they're just warping the physical properties of, they're bending it. I guess it's like the least egregious of the crimes, but it's pretty fucking funny. All the characters in my world run like they're in Naruto. He asks us to follow him to his hideout, the mage, and after we arrive, he tells us that unholy magic is actually the true holy magic, and that the kingdom's banned it to instate a new religion and take away the old pagan ones, and we were chosen by his god of resurrection to bring the magic back to the world. And I said, no, I'm not doing that, DM. What do you mean? This is allowed in the setting. And they say, dude, from the beginning, we agreed to make a cool, low fantasy world, and now you bring this whole, we're the chosen ones, save the world of magic against the evil religion. It's 2 things I don't like in settings, being chosen and high fantasy. DM, yeah, but why did you accept the necromancy part? Cause that's a high fantasy thing. Besides, this will make for a cool plot, and I feel a bit limited on a low fantasy world. Then why'd you choose to make a low fantasy world? Just so you could bring OP in? You thought he would be a good player despite the fact that he basically never played before? Or maybe he has. He knows enough to complain about things, but yeah, we didn't get into great detail there. Anyway, OP says, I accepted the necromancy at the start because it made sense in the world lore. And it was a minor character in a village in the middle of nowhere. You could have followed that, made our quest about destroying his masters, or you could have made like thousands of low fantasy plots. But you feel like world saving and bringing more magic is what you want in your world? Well, we already talked about it, and I told you countless times that this is not the type of story that I like. So that's really what all this comes down to. OP is really adamant about not having spells in his game. We had to walk through this entire fucking thing because OP doesn't like spells in his game, everybody. He doesn't want to run a game for himself. He wants to tell you how to run your game. Well, why don't you fuck right off? You like low fantasy? All of your fantasies are low. You don't dare dream of something bigger. Take your fantasy and shoot it into your palm, you net negative. DM says, I just thought if I introduced magic slowly, it wouldn't be overwhelming and it would feel realistic. And as you saved and opened more rules, the magic would be more open. And OP says, I'm sure this would be a fun campaign for anyone that likes these type of stories, but I hate them. I think they're cringe, and I can't take the story seriously. So please stop trying to force me to enjoy something I hate. And you haven't even tried it. Cast a fireball, OP. See how it feels. DM says, fine, go away. You just want to make everything in your own way. And Piggy says, yeah, bro. If you don't like magic, then why do you play tabletop in the first place? Greg, let this loser go away to his boring things. We don't need anyway. Damn, he got shut down by the whole table? Oh, except Kid. Kid was silent the whole conversation. I went back home and played Mountain Blade Warband and Battle Brothers. Hey, fuck. This impeccable taste, yes. It's good low fantasy games. I understand you enjoy those things. Maybe you just stick with the single-player games from now on. Or I guess find another group of people who are like also gung-ho about low fantasy. These people clearly aren't. Anyway, I was really sad because I thought my first tabletop RPG campaign would be long and fun. That's what she said. I honestly don't know how he thought that would work. I told him multiple times that I don't like high fantasy settings. I'm not experienced, so I ask you guys, would it really be that boring if you only kept low fantasy settings, or was my friend just a bit of an asshole? I can't help but think that this could have been a really fun mercenary experience, exploring the world, growing our band to fame and fortune, fighting the occasional monster or undead threat. Are all tabletop RPG groups like this? If so, I guess that this really isn't for me. Yes, they're all like this. Exactly like you described. I don't know how you nailed it down so pat. It does sound to me like they're a bunch of weird dopes, but as I said, like, so are you, OP. So I don't know. We call that a tie game. There was definitely some horny weirdness. Like, that was what I was promised going in, and I think the story did deliver, but piled on top of that was just uninteresting sludge all about, OP's feelings about why low fantasy is the optimal way to play tabletop RPG. Clearly they're not playing it the way you want to play it, and clearly you feel the fucking need to be in control of everything for whatever reason. I guess DM did promise, like, oh, it's gonna be low fantasy, but maybe DM doesn't really understand what that is, you know what I mean? He just wanted you to bring the magic back to the world, OP, and also watch him bang a succubus or whatever the hell happened there. I'm glad the necromancy thing didn't come back around, though. That was like the most repulsive part to me. So good. Great. Let's get the Gubbinses in here, see how they feel. Personally, I hope they dislike the OP as much as I do.
He holds the group hostage with demands for low fantasy, because he lacks the creative capacity to process anything beyond his narrow comfort zone. Witnesses. He retreats to a single-player simulator because he is fundamentally incapable of the compromise required for human connection. He is a fun vacuum that sucks the joy out of the room to feed his own rigidity. Dark Gubbins.
Damn. Again, you've just cut him completely to the quick. I don't think it was really funny or anything like that, but it is insightful. Retreating to the single-player simulator. And as I suggested, yeah, probably just stay there. You seem like you'd be a lot more comfortable there, and that's fine. You don't have to inflict yourself on anybody else. How about you, Gubbins? How do you feel about it, boy?
He cries wet tears because the pretend orc cast a magic spell instead of dying of dysentery like a real history man. He calls the heavy boy Piggy to be mean, but he is the one squealing like a stuck hog because the game wasn't boring enough.
Ooh.
He wants to play Cleaning Weapons Simulator while everyone else tries to have fun. Gubbins.
Cleaning Weapons Simulator. Yeah, you did call him out on many things. I didn't think Piggy was, worth pointing out, but OP just wants to feel better than that guy. Basically wants to feel better than everybody that was mean to him. All because the pretend orc casts a magic spell instead of dying of dysentery like a real history man. I think Gubbins nailed it down. You clinched it, boy. All on your own, you did. Yippee! There's your point. It's beautiful. So let's see who wins today, huh? Stop talking first, though. I'm so proud of you, boy. I knew you could do it. Good job, boy. We're so proud of you, doing all the big things out here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Also, too, by the way, truly appreciated. I plugged the Patreon. I plugged the Steam game. What didn't we do? Oh, podcasts. We're doing double uploads all December long, so check that out if you'd like. Fourth wall for the merch. Amazon affiliate link if you're doing some shopping. You click through on that link first, then I can get a little kickback, which is pretty neat. I think that's it, basically. Maybe. Oh, except of course, I'd like to remind you, friends, that you are loved. You are worthy. You definitely deserve it. And I shall see you in the next one. So until then, bye-bye.